Hey there, it's Lokazi. Thanks for joining me again for another Grandmaster replay. Here we have xiExO spawning as the blue Protoss in the north position on Scrap Station, and xSixMkengyn, I think is how you say it, Mkengyn maybe, as the red Zerg player in the southern position on Scrap Station. Scrap Station is a fun map because it's always close by air, and you always know where the other person is, and there's a giant ramp. All of these things lead to very interesting games that aren't generally you see crazier builds on this map than pretty much anywhere else because of those factors. Close by air and relatively close by ground when you knock out the rocks. And we have xiExO opting for, it looks like it's going to be a Forge expand as he's dropped his pylon down out here in the front. This is a really common tactic by Protoss players on this map because you can wall off. This is the smallest choke, and then you just kind of watch out for these rocks being knocked down. As long as you can hold that off at the beginning, totally set and good to go. So probably a Forge expand out of that. And that also gives you the option to deny the expansion with cannons. So we'll see how that goes. Now Mkengyn is moving over here, and he's not going to see anything at the top of the ramp. So he's going to assume that it's going to be some type of an expansion build or a proxy. So let's see how he moves. It looks like a gateway is dropping down over here. So maybe just standard play, but a little bit further out for xiExO over here. And xiExO moving up, he's going to see that the pool is a 15 pool, and that there's no expansion down. And this is a good call out of Mkengyn, which, by the way, he's a top 50 Grandmaster player as well. So very solid players here. On the US servers, that is. And that lets him know, you know, if you 15 pool, you have the safety of, hey, if you try and deny my expansion with a pylon, I'm going to have 4 zerglings, and then just expand right behind it anyway, and you're going to waste 100 minerals. And it kind of denies the power, or more power, to that denial. Because if you go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to get my expansion down, that's not necessarily going to be the case. And xiExO looks like he's 2 gatewayed, actually. He is going to put a lot of pressure on here early, or just is expecting a lot of pressure coming out because he did see that pool first. So he wants those 2 gateways to A, complete the wall, and B, have enough defense to hold that off. But he has not dropped a cyber. Oh, there it is. There's a cyber core. And these zerglings, there was 6 made, and they drove off the probe, or picked it off actually probably. Nope. Wait, yep, they picked off the probe. They picked off the probe and they let that expansion go down. And now they're on their way across the map to try and break in over here on xiExO, which I'm not sure they can. I think that that is walled off, actually. I'm not sure it takes a second zeal. It doesn't. It does not take a second zeal. So this one zeal is going to tank this like a beast. And as soon as he falls, his crazy side dreadlock brother is going to be able to keep it up. And he did take out 4 by himself, and then he backed up to, he died, and he backed up to this gap. So the second zeal could help fend it off. And 2 sentries are being produced here. So this is just kind of a, hey, I'm going to expand really fast and prevent you from getting into my base at the smallest choke on the map possible. And that's what he did. And it's working really well right now. And these back rocks being worked on by Mkengyn, which is really, really good. He knows that if you can get through these rocks without xiExO noticing, he's going to be very, very set to take him out. Unfortunately, only about 10 zerglings can work on this at a time, as opposed to a lot of destructible rocks. Though it's better than like the destructible rocks that are a circle and kind of like wedged in someplace, because only like 8 or 9 can work on it there. So this is probably the most amount of zerglings that can actually work on a destructible rock that's not totally open-sided. Now it'll be interesting how xiExO defends this. I'm sure he plays this map a lot. It's obviously on his map pool. So it looks like he's going to drop his 3rd and 4th gateways and a pylon over here, creating another wall, which is just brilliant. And this is something I'm going to steal because it's a fantastic idea from a great player. And that's really why we all watch replays, right? To get to see great games and to pick up stuff for our own games. In the meantime, the macro is pretty even for both players. A Baneling nest going down for Mkengyn though. Looks like he's going to try and bust these walls, but there's 3 sentries out, and I'm sure more, yep, another one is being produced by xiExO. So when this rock falls, he is not going to find an easy place to break. Because really one force field right here or right here prevents Banelings from hitting anything but the gateways. And it's going to take a lot of Banelings to break those gateways. And the sentries are getting their ticklers in line. No stalkers at all, curiously enough. Now cruise spread is down, connecting these 2 bases. And actually it takes like... The weird thing about Scrap Station is even though Zerg love this map, it has this really annoying ramp for them. Because it takes a creep tumor to get to the ramp, and then you actually have to drop another one at the top of the ramp an inch further to be able to drop one down the ramp, just the distance. Very odd. I never really understood that. I guess that's the one bad thing about this map for Zerg. Lots of Banelings coming in. Good wall drop. Banelings do connect, but they connected with a sentry and 2 zeals. A lot less damage than they could have done. And there are 5 zeals up to these almost equal number of zerglings. There's only 7 of them out. A hydras going down. I like this decision out of Mkengyn. He knows that there's a large gateway force. He knows that xiExO doesn't have any other tech that he's seen so far, and has invested a lot of gas in the sentries. So, oh, those Banelings not doing all the damage that they could have done, but a good amount dropped. The Spinecrawler does look like it's going to drop really fast though. It only gets off 1 attack actually, and then there's the call. xiExO doing enough pressure there through these gaps that were actually opened up by the Zerg player to go ahead and push through. He was going to do some really severe damage to this economy. The Zerg player may have been able to hold it off, but he was going to be hard pressed to do it. And when you have an expansion and 4-gate, that's so much chrono boosting that you could be throwing out. And look how much chrono xiExO had. He was actually floating a ton of chrono. He could have dropped a round of 4, boosted, dropped another round of 4, boosted, dropped another round of 4 in 100 seconds in game time, which is just a massive amount of units at this point in the game that fast. He would actually be able to pretty much overwhelm the larva mechanic at this point. So really well played by xiExO there. So we had this awesome forward building expansion here by xiExO here on Scrap Station in a Grandmaster game, which is always fun to watch. The highest level players doing their deal. So thank you xiExO for sending this replay over. And if you like this video, hit like at the bottom and subscribe to me. And I want to see how many votes each one of the University of Houston players actually gets, how many likes they get, and I'm going to tally them all up. And then I'm going to give some type of prize to one of the University of Houston players. Whoever has the most at, I don't know, I'll make up a date. It's going to be a competition now. Check for it on my YouTube page. Thanks for tuning in.